Welcome to the Synergy Sisters podcast with hosts Debbie Prediger and Mary Gervais, two super connectors at heart who love building powerful relationships with visionaries and thought leaders. We act as a focal gathering point for people, ideas, dreams, and enterprises. We know that collaborations, connections, and trusted real relationships unfold naturally as you tune into your intuition. What is your heart whispering? We love to explore the big, audacious dreams of heart-centered entrepreneurs as they step into their leadership roles. We love weaving business and marketing strategy with spiritual development, energetics, and growth mindset.
Hello, friends. We are back, and I am so excited to be here with my co-host, Debbie Prediger. And today we are welcoming the multi-talented entrepreneurs, Deanna, Leonard, and Carolina Migliaccio. And the magical thing about these two women, they wear many hats in their entrepreneurial careers, but they helped us create the Synergy Sister branding together through their one enterprise, the AI Chicks. And we are here to talk about them and the experience and really the true magic that they brought in helping us pull out really the essence of what we were looking for and sharing with the world of who the Synergy Sisters is. So first of all, I want to say thank you to both of you from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Yes, and Debbie, I'm going to hand it over to you because I know you're going to add in here.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for creating a container that we felt so safe in to be able to express ourselves. And then you together pulled out these nuggets of our truth. And I don't know if anyone else has ever worked with somebody like this, but it felt like we were seen and witnessed for the first time ever. It was just like an unveiling and a branding all at the same time. So I want to say thank you to the two of you for bringing all of your gifts and talents to the table to play, because that container has continued to spark this creativity that's continued to grow and swirl. And I can't wait to get into this conversation today. So with that, I would love to have each one of you introduce yourselves just from your heart essence. Who is Carolina?
Carolina is a soulful individual as well as a force of nature.
That is so beautiful. And what about Deanna?
I could not agree more with how she just introduced herself. I would love to say ditto, but that's not fair. So I would say I am an artist at heart and always have been, but have been that shadow artist. And some of the things that have happened over the last 3 years have brought my creativity, my ingenuity, and my intuition back to life. And I'm loving it.
I couldn't agree more with both of those introductions. So Mary, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Oh, and I couldn't agree more with that. And I mean, Deanna, just in the latest things that you've been creating, I see that fun, that light, that coming out. In Carolina, there's just so much heart in everything. So it's amazing. So this is a really interesting story because when Debbie and I first met with these two lovely ladies, we thought that we were creating a logo.
Uh-huh.
And this came into a whole nother experience. So I really have been curious. How is it that you two came together and like give us and give our listeners the idea of what transpired when you started working with us and how this all unfolded, because it was truly incredible.
You want to go first, Carolina, or do you want me to go first?
So there were two questions in there.
Yes,
The
there
first
were.
is, how did the two of us get connected? So I'll answer that one. And the first thing I'll say is never underestimate where you are and who you're with and the power of saying yes. Like those are the things that I have learned over this phenomenal journey for me, because Deanna and I were in another heartfelt container. And we really didn't know each other. We really didn't know each other. And it was it the retreat that really connected us?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So we were in this container for like almost 10 months.
Online, yeah.
Fine. And then we did an in-person retreat. And that's when I got to know her. Right. And you wonder, it's like after all that time, but it was like that was the moment in time that it was right for us to connect. And then things just started to unfold without expectation from either one of us, in that we just engaged as ourselves and we were ourselves, right? And we were able to, even when we started to brainstorm, we would just naturally bring our gifts and flex and flow with each other. And I do believe that that was divine intervention as well.
Me too. Me too. In fact, I'll even add on to that story. I purposely chose this necklace this morning because this is a necklace that Carolina sent to me when I was trying to figure out what the heck I was doing. I had left corporate, I had semi-retired. I knew I wasn't completely retired, but I didn't know what was next. And I was being incredibly hard on myself, as I have been my entire life, beating myself up in every possible way. And this necklace came in from her in the mail as a gift. And I didn't even know it was from her because somehow I missed that entire part. She had to ask me online, "Hey, did you get something from me?" So anyway, it's all about pausing, taking a pause, taking a breath. And both Carolyn and I were pretty hard charging corporate executives earlier in our careers. And to take a pause was just not in our vocabulary. So to receive this, it just was so heartfelt. And I remind myself every day that it's okay to take a breath. It's okay to learn something new. It's okay to forgive yourself for all that crap that you walk around with in your backpack, all the good stuff. So that is where I think our connection deepened for sure. It also it got started at the retreat, but it also kind of came to life. We talk probably every other day on the phone about different ideas we have for what's going on in our own businesses, but also in whatever's next for us, right? Which there are a lot of things on the horizon there.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I come around, I was taking notes here because first of all, it's that beautiful essence of connection, that human connection. We can be online, but when we really meet that person, there's an extra layer of that energy that seeps into us. And I think, like you say, it was divine timing. You were both at this place in your careers. And when you were talking about your corporate careers, I kind of saw the two of you in a room and the oxygen level was going out. And I don't
Yeah,
know why I had that vision, but
I do.
obviously, obviously, you know, it was meant that you were supposed to go to this retreat, and the clarity, the intention, and also where you were able to just sit. And as I say, you had that unconditional love, that time for yourself to sink in. And for the energy and the wisdom to come out. And then that's when you had the energy to start the co-creation and the collaboration. So absolutely, what a beautiful story.
Yes, it was. I'm just going to go in here a little tiny bit before we get to part 2 of that question. And boy, oh boy, there's so much juice here. Talk about the divine. She gives you this necklace. We all meet at this retreat, which I think that the theme of the retreat is a lot of people are like, this is a stretch. Should I really be here? Do I belong? Is this convenient? Where am I heading? There's a lot of questions for all of us at this retreat. We bonded, we got to know each other through a co-creation of experiences. Each one of us led a piece in this retreat. So we are standing shoulder to shoulder with our peers, and we are having to actually create an experience for our peers that actually stood out in a way that it was a stretch. It was a stretch for all of us. And I remember each and every moment of it, and I'll never forget it. But Deanna here is part of the divine messaging that's coming back to me right now, is that at the retreat, you had us create bracelets with a word on it. And in our branding, you pulled out words from us that mattered so much. My word was connection.
Of course it was.
Here we are today talking about a deeper connection. And I really think that is the gateway, the unlocking of the freedom to everything that comes after that, is knowing yourself in a deeper way, and then getting to know your sisters in a deeper way. There's just so much profound wisdom that comes from that. And I can say that retreat was amazing to get to know each one of your hearts. So.
Wow. I didn't realize this was going to be so emotional.
And laughter, we do both.
No, laughter is an emotion. So yeah, I'm good with that. I love it.
Yeah.
Is there a question in there somewhere?
Yeah, not in mine, but Mary had a second question in there that I don't know if we've actually circled around fully, or we just want to go on from there.
Well, I don't even remember it. Maybe Carol does, but that's okay. Where you're working together now is called the AI Chicks. And so you're taking this human-centered leadership that you have brought from corporate, and your emphasis on your huge heart-centeredness, right? And strategy. And you are mixing it with technology and authenticity and creating at the forefront of the business landscape now. So where do you see the balance between the human and the AI playing out? I'm going to say in entrepreneurship right now, because that's what most of our listeners are, but we could say in business.
Really great.
But that's a broad question. So
it's a really big question. It's so interesting too, because Carolina, I'll start this one. I'll let you finish this one if you're good with that. I've been asked to lecture at a big university about just this subject, because I think a lot of people have this question. But if you're okay with it, I think I'll back up a little bit, because that's kind of how this whole journey started for me of getting to this next place. And that was through a course that you are now in, Mary. So you were inspired by us, I think, to join, which is Secret AI Society. I started taking this course actually with Carrie Mader, another one that was at the retreat, right? I started taking this beta just for fun. I had made the commitment that I was not taking any more courses. It was time to launch. I was being hard on myself. Let's go. And then we took this beta, and I absolutely fell in love with it. So Jenna Sword was at the helm. She created the course. And I got to tell you, it was the start of something really special in how it shifted my heart and my soul and my thinking into what was next for me. One of the things that came out of that course for me, after beating myself up for 2 years for not being able to design a website because I should know technology like that, I not only designed a website, I designed 4 websites, and one of them won a contest. So it just literally kind of turned everything on its head for me. And one of the things I love about that particular AI society is the community. Back to this community piece where Carolina's in that community now, Carrie's in that community now, Mary, you just joined that community. Debbie, I'm sure you're going to join right after everything too, because you keep sending me notes about it. Because community does make all the difference. Coaches make all the difference. And you're not going to be able to reinvent yourself until you change your mindset. And that, on top of all the other coaching I've had along the way, was kind of like the icing, the cherry on top, right? The cherry on top. So that's what I will say about that part. Going forward, coming out of that community, there were several big things that happened. One was I decided to start a little tiny news bulletin on LinkedIn called The Daily Good, with AI being highlighted, right? Daily, the letters AI, where I celebrate women AI innovators that are bringing good news to the world, that are bringing good inventions to the world, that are bringing good things, highly on the creative side, but there's some other things in there too. And I did it just because I wanted to celebrate, and I wanted to celebrate everyone that was contributing to that community, because the scare tactics that are out there about AI, they're everywhere. I don't need to add to that. There are some really rational things going on and some really irrational things going on. Take the news as you want to take it. AI is not going away. So you can put your head in the sand like an ostrich, or you can be rational and reasonable, which is what I am doing, and I'm celebrating. So I've talked enough. Time for Carolina. Oh, wait, no, sorry. And the other thing, which maybe Carolina will talk about coming out of that community, is we both got involved with She Is AI magazine and were initial contributors to the inaugural issue. And that community also, just like Jenna's community, next level amazing too. So anyway, just FYI.
Wow. Congratulations.
For good is both, it can do a lot of the heavy lifting, and it can also stretch and inspire us, right? Like those are the two areas that I have found it to have the most impact. The creativity, right, with the creative AI work that the community and Secret AI Society that Deanna spoke about, that has really stretched my creativity. The interesting thing is, from my branding world and using emotive language and being really descriptive, right, it's been really helpful in how to create the art, but at the same time, it's really pushed me to, how can I think about this differently, which is using a different part of the brain, right? It's really stretching me. And so that I am really grateful for. The other thing is it's doing a lot of the heavy lifting. I am big thinker when I get into the weeds and have to do things with technology or structure a deck, like I get all squirrely and quite frankly paralyzed. Yeah, I do, right?
I'm shocked by that.
I'm like the note cards, like the idea, stick them on a wall or rearrange them, and can someone else just put it in the deck for me, kind of thing. And this is where I find AI to be extremely helpful. It takes that paralysis away from me. It lets me focus on what really matters. And a lot of times it's also a thought leader because it pushes my thinking, right? I use it in a way of, this is what it's presented. Do I agree with it? What is the insight? How can I make it better? Right. And so it's pushing my strategic capabilities even further, which I am also grateful for.
Say, if you haven't read her article in She Is AI magazine, you need to, because it really is exactly what you were just talking about, Carolyn. It's absolutely beautiful to watch all of this come to life.
Foremost, I want to go back to Carolina, because I want to talk a little bit about you in the corporate branding profession, because you learned a lot. Like, you are an amazing, gifted, talented, and you know all the strategies, the laws and the rules and all of that stuff in branding. And now it feels like that you said it, that's two sides of the brain. Here's the knowing, And then here's the creativity. And I can take both those sides and do what I'm doing today. Can you take us down that road a little bit?
Sure. My corporate career was both robust, immensely successful, and also immensely debilitating for me. The debilitation, no one got to see. It was the stuff that I just stuffed down. Because being a creative, having right brain, left brain, and being able to see things beyond what people can currently see is a gift. But in an environment where people are like, it needs to be right here, it's kind of a curse. So I was always trying to be that square peg in a round hole. And strategy, branding, design is in my DNA. It is truly in my DNA. Like, I wanted to be an artist. Like, that was just like, I was in textiles. That was one of my things. My dad is a physicist. My mom's an artist, right? So the strategy, all that thinking I get from dad. So I'm wired to have both. And so when I left corporate and I said, I want to do something different, I literally like slammed at the door. Like, I didn't just like close it. I'm like, no, not doing any of that. Because that didn't serve me. Even though it served me, it didn't serve me. Not for this chapter. And, you know, when you're truly aligned, things happen. When you're truly aligned with your heart, when you're truly aligned with your mind, when those two things are in play, when you are answering the divine's call of you and your purpose, things happen. So when I left corporate, I was on this journey of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Purpose was really important to me. Oh, help people find their purpose. Don't want to do branding, right? And then the secret AI and being with Deanna and all the other women, right? That started to unlock the creativity that I had been longing for. I always wanted more creativity in my work. But quite honestly, it wasn't until I got the call, literally the call from Deanna. I have this project. What do you think? Would you love to work on it? Like, well, I'd love to work for the two of them. Yeah.
I'm not stupid. I know who to call.
Branding? Okay, it's for them. I'll do it for them. Do it for them. Again, divine timing, place, people, things, right? And in doing this work with you, it reminded me of the love, right? It reminded me of the gifts, but it reminded me of the love that I have for this work. And when it is helpful and people embrace it and it like really embodies who they are, it's like, and so it honestly was the two of you and Deanna that brought this to light for me, because I don't believe I would have figured it out on my own. And that's also where, you know, you never know why you're around people. You never know why you're in this community. And it's just this place of curiosity and just embracing situation and people that are around you and making the most of it and always making it better than when you stepped into it. I think when we follow those principles, that's when the magic happens.
So pretty. Wow.
Oh, so beautiful, Carolina.
I need tissues. I need tissues.
Yeah. But, you know, what you are getting at is that you were open, right?
Yes.
And you were completely open. You wanted.
Yes.
Mhm.
2 years earlier, even a year earlier, if this had happened, I don't think we would have seen the same type of work. I wouldn't have felt the same way. I wouldn't have picked it up and said, oh, this is part of the work that I need to do moving forward, because it is a gift. It does help people know who they are truly, right? Which is the underpinning of what I want to do. But I couldn't see how this also made it possible.
Wow.
Right? Ask for what you want. may not appear in the form that you're thinking, but you do indeed get it.
So good.
Yes, and I want to go into that digging deep, because what the two of you did for Debbie and me was just it was magical, because you posed these questions and we didn't quite know where all of this was going, and then you came back with something and we're like, yes, but you also made us sit, and we had to be so silent with ourselves and go inside and feel what is that true essence that we want the Synergy Sisters to stand for. And I know we both thank you from the bottom of our hearts for that, because that is such a secret sauce that the two of you have, because you don't find, I've never found that anywhere else, working with someone in the branding world. So, I mean, really, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're so
As
sweet.
Mary pointed out earlier, is we thought we were getting a logo. Like, I needed a new logo. When I went to put up a podcast episode, and I'd realized that 10 months earlier, we had just slapped a logo out there that neither one of us liked, but we'd tried to go through different people and they just couldn't feel our heart or our soul. And it was just yuck. I just reached out to Deanna and I said, I see that you're doing this
AI thing, this AI thing.
Well, I didn't even know if it was truly AI, but you're creating magic. And I want to circle back from that magic, is that this is really like part of you showing up and putting your work out into the world. Because Deanna really grabbed my attention when she started creating the Daily Good posts. So now instead of we're focusing on Facebook and like, what are you creating? What are you doing? I think you're doing some new course, but I don't know. All of a sudden, she's going over to LinkedIn, where she is professionally known as a true leader. And she's taking her wisdom and her connections, and she's merging them together in this beautiful article. Like, I did not know how beautifully your written expressed word was.
Oh.
So that's part of it. And then I started seeing this visual with this AI. And I was like, okay, leaning in, wanting to know more. How can I be a part of this? And I've continued to watch this Daily Good unfold and get the attention of some really big. Deanna, I want to talk to you about, how did you go from I'm playing around with AI to I'm going to merge it with a written word and I'm going to go serve an audience that's different than everybody else?
It's a great question. And just kind of playing off of what Carolina said as well, this whole EI and AI, I literally have on my LinkedIn description, unlock where EI meets AI meets BI, meaning emotional intelligence, artificial intelligence, and business intelligence, because that's kind of the intersection I'm in right now. And that's why I think Carolina and I brought to the table a little bit different experience than just a logo design, and really unlocked some fun things, right? And actually, the Daily Good was inspired. Again, I keep going back to Secret AI Society, but one of the things that one of our favorite teachers, Jenna Sword, as well as all the coaches in there and all the inspiring women in there, which, by the way, it's 99% women. It's almost 2,000 women in this course. A lot of them, probably 75%, are coaches and are trying to figure it out. A lot of them are trying to figure out a side hustle, all that kind of thing. But instead of focusing, when I asked Jenna the question, like, how do I even get this thing started? She said, get it out of your head. And that inspired me to start writing things down. I took The Artist Way. I don't know if you guys have ever taken The Artist Way. It was the third time I've taken it. It's a great course. And it's a freebie. It's a book. You can just go and self-do it, or you can do it in a group. And from that, the Daily Good was born. And I thought, well, if I'm going to make a change, I have more people that remember me and know me when I was younger in my career on LinkedIn, which was much more artistic. I was a baby wear designer at Carter's, much more artistic. And I grew up really fast at Sara Lee and became a really fast rising leader there. So I was going back to those roots, and I thought, well, let's go on LinkedIn and let's just see what happens. And then another friend of ours, Debbie and Carolina, Sarah Chevalier, which I never pronounced correctly, challenged me to do the daily good even bigger and put my own story out there. And that was probably the scariest thing I've ever done, because now my entire corporate career is out there. My entire emergency medical situation is out there. But I got to tell you, doing that was really healing. Sharing that story, it was a 3-part series, and sharing that story was not only healing, it got so much attention from so many women that I didn't realize were suffering from depression, from health issues, from workaholism, like all those kinds of things. So I think it all started with the gift of learning AI and the push, the slight push that Jenna gave me on, why don't you just start writing about it? So there you go.
I love that you took us full circle and you really kind of said it, it's just happened. The flow happened.
It really has. It really has.
But let's be honest. All of us have felt that where it didn't feel very flowy, that we pushed, we struggled, and we were trying to find our way in a new identity as things in our world shifted or our place in the world shifted. And I'd like to talk to you, Carolina, first about identity, because you really said earlier that you really wanted to help people find their purpose and who they were. And I think we know that when we have something we want for others, we want that for ourselves as well. And so can you help take us down that path a little bit?
And I think Deanna said it really well in the beginning, right? You can't reinvent yourself until you change your mindset, right? Until you really believe who you are. And you're right. What you teach is usually the lesson for you first. Big lesson, right? And so I not only was living someone else's life, but like the real me would show up in little vignettes. Like if you knew me well, you got to see the soft underbelly. You got to see the crazy. You got to see the cackling laugh. Where all those things weren't necessarily appropriate within the environment I was operating, right? To be a professional, to climb the ladder, it's like there's certain personas that you need to embody. And those were really hard for me. And what I realized at what people would consider the highest point of my career, when I got the job offer for the C-suite and said, not feeling it. Not feeling it. Like in that moment, I should be calling my bestie, right? Screaming at the top of my lungs, but I didn't feel any different. All I felt was this like heaviness. And so it was that moment where I realized this is not what I want, because I don't want to feel like this anymore. But what did that mean for me? I had no idea, right? That was we're burning all the boats. Do not recommend it. And that's also why I get to do this work, so that people don't have to burn the boats and jump. But apparently that's what I needed to do, because not having a plan B helped me figure out the plan A, right? Because otherwise we kind of stay in that place of apathy and unhappiness because we get used to it. My mom used to say, you can get used to anything. And it's like, oh, Mom. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Mom, you are so right. And it was not until I really let go of all of those, not just self-limiting beliefs, but the acceptance of myself, the true acceptance of myself, not the personification of what I want it to be, but who I truly am, and to love and embrace that. And it's like, this is me.
I love that answer so much. And I want to go deeper in it.
Uh-oh.
But I need to go back to Deanna because.
Do you? I don't know. Do you?
Well, I really do. There was a line in the sand moment for you that you had to make a decision.
Yeah. There were quite a few lines in
that,
that.
and then how you embraced a new identity after that.
It was interesting because I've had a lot of time to reflect since I left corporate. And I remember having a conversation with one of my very favorite CEOs. Really, every CEO I worked for, I adored. I always learned something from everybody. And I love that about everything that I get to experience. And he said to me, I was both happy and not happy when he said this to me, but he said to me, since retired, he goes, I don't know what it is about you, but whatever you do next, it needs to be about coaching people and helping people because they would follow you off a cliff. He goes, I put you on everything that was hard and you motivated the team to get it done. Okay, that is a compliment, but it's also a big responsibility because I don't want to take people off a cliff. It's the last thing I want to do, right? And then I realized I started taking a lot of assessments and I would get mad at myself because I kept coming back. The Enneagram, I'm a coach. I'm a 2. The Myers-Briggs, ENFJ, the NF part is a coach. The J is the corporate get it done person. I used to be so mad that I couldn't be a P in Myers-Briggs because they have all the open options and all the great ideas. Oh no, we got to get it done. Back to the corporate kind of training, right? 30 years of corporate training, we get it done. So I'd like to talk about the most recent one. And the most recent one was the realization that my entire life I've been carrying this backpack of rocks that was worried about my family, that was worried about my husband who had a horrible, horrible bicycle crash, hit by a car, that I was worried about my son that left for boarding school. No, I'm not one of those moms. He wanted to be a hockey player, and the only way to get on the NHL track was through these boarding schools at age 15. I've been literally worried sick about him since age 15. And the line in the sand that happened was his wedding this month. And seeing, I'm going to start crying, and seeing him and the life that he has built in New York, the friends that he has surrounded himself with, the family that has married him, the people at that wedding that kept coming up to me time and time again, telling me what an amazing young man he was, like literally allowed me to put that backpack away. And once that happened, all of a sudden, all these wonderful things are now happening because there is room in my heart and my soul to accept all the goodness and to stop worrying.
How important of a pivotal moment that feels like to you. But I know, because Deanna, I can relate more than you could ever know. And I think
I'll bet.
they'll be feeling themselves in that story as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Deanna, thank you for sharing because I know that that touched me and I can imagine many others who are listening because it is that epiphany of you have reached that personal freedom where you have let go of the worry or anything that was holding you back.
Yeah.
But I also see how the joy that you have found in bringing your creativity back has sparked that fun and that light in you. And you are so profoundly beautiful. I thank you for sharing. Yes.
Thank you for asking. It's an honor to be on here because you two and your book, Mary, like it is the top book on my desk at all times.
Oh, thank you.
Let's
Thank
just
you.
put a
And,
plug in there.
Heart Plays, yes.
you know, thank you. And I really just want to say, so to our listeners, I said to Deanna, because I'm now in the course with the Secret AI Society, and it's like it's learning all of the AI, and I love it because the innovation, and I love that my brain is growing. but I put in a chat the other day, oh, someday hopefully I'll be, where you are. And then Deanna came back, and this is what community is all about. And she's like, my dear, you're already magical. You write books, you do this. So the beauty of any community, and the community of the four of us and other communities, is we remind each other that yes, we all have these unique gifts and talents, but when we come together, we're stronger. And that's what it's all about.
For sure.
As people that believe in true connection and real heart-to-heart conversations and helping each other and leaning together and all of the things, you guys know the Synergy Sisters, you pulled the words out of us. What is the message that you have for Mary and I that maybe you haven't had a chance yet to share?
Want me to start, Carolina, so you have a little more time to think? The first thing that popped into my head when you said that was how impressed and amazed I was with both of you when the tears flowed at our last branding meeting. I did not expect that. I did not see that coming. It was so authentic and so real. And what it said to me is, wherever you guys take this, what we shared with you, whatever you two decide to do, it's going to dent the universe. It's going to make a difference because you two are so grounded and so authentic. So that's the first thing that popped into my head. And I don't know if I've ever shared that with you, that I had that kind of almost visceral reaction, like, oh my gosh, I made them cry. What just happened? That wasn't it at all. You were being really authentic and really real with each other.
It's funny, I was going to say we left it all on the table, so there's nothing, but as Deanna was talking, I did get something drop in. And again, that is a gift that I have learned to cultivate. And what dropped in was, we get to choose our sisters. Wow. We get to choose family. And the connection that the two of you have is very special. And I think that that is also both a reflection of who you are, and it is also an embodiment that to be shared with the world in terms of how you think about sisterhood, how you create sisterhood, how you create family, right? Our lives are created. We can create what we want them to be. And I think that this is perfect that you are called the Synergy Sisters.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
and as I say that, I also feel the same way about Deanna.
I was just thinking that as you said that.
Chosen and very loved sister of mine.
Yeah.
Ditto, girl. Ditto.
But even the four of us in this, and that's where I really feel that this was so much more than a logo. We know that. We also know that it's more than just branding. There is something really big being brewed here. And I consider all of us sisters, and however we can support each other in the aligned vision of what's coming, right? Help us get out of our own way. Help us lean in more and stretch ourselves when we see a gift that we're not quite expressing to its full potential. To brainstorm and get in the room where this energy in this sacred container can help us just weave and create. And Carolina, I just see you. You want to speak. Let's giving you the mic.
Because here's the thing that I didn't mention, but what you just said made it come to life for me. From the time I decided of corporate was not the thing to where I am today, there were times of abundance, prosperity, fulfillment, and then it fell off the rails to where it is today, and it's all about fulfillment, abundance, and prosperity. And what I realized was that if you are not true to yourself, you really can't articulate what it is you bring, what it is you want, how you can help. And when we're creating businesses, that is so important, because as you bring your best self and best work, it comes from that place of knowing, not knowing as in ego in your head, knowing from your heart, right there. That is the most powerful knowing. And as I would say, you can feel it in your bones, right? And I remember when I was in corporate, I would say, you need to internalize stuff. And people were like, what does that mean? And I was like, now I know that's, oh, you've got to embody it. I'm like, that's the word. But so many people have created businesses and they're like, I don't want to sell. You think about it as selling because that belief that is embedded not only in your psyche, but it is in your physical body and your energetic vibration is all about, what am I bringing to the world that can truly help people? And it is for the betterment. This is not transaction. When we have that, it's all about conversations. And then the people that you're having the conversations with get the opportunity to say, yes, tell me more. When we shift how we think about building businesses, how we think about culture, how we think about engagement, when we make that type of shift, I think the world will be so much more different in such a much grander way.
I've coined that in the last 3 months. I've just started using it in my mind. It's not payment, it's the energy exchange between us.
It is
Because
the energy
and
exchange.
if we can rephrase that when we're thinking of that, it's just so that it flows so well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for those people who hear that and go, ooh, that's woo. Think about it this way. When you're struggling, think about what that energy feels like. It's hard, right? People aren't going to grab onto it. As a matter of fact, they're kind of going to walk away. But when you've really embodied, and it's the belief and the knowing that this is the right way from a heart-centered place that is supportive of the mind, it's not ego, only the mind, that energetics is a pull. And money is just the exchange of that energetic transference that you were talking about, Mary. Wow. And so when we think about that in that way, we realize that it's art and science.
And let's have you back to have a conversation on that, right, Mary? Like that conversation, we could go a long ways.
That one's huge.
That one. Because for me, when I hear this whole exchange of energy and receiving, there was a time in my life that the energy was flowing one way. And there was a lot of giving and not a lot of receiving, until I pictured myself handing somebody a gift and they couldn't receive it. And then they handed me a gift and I couldn't receive it. And I realized that if this energy isn't really flowing without resistance, that we're limiting ourselves, and we're the divine is asking us to share our gifts. So let's have a conversation about that. So anybody that's listening to that, put in the chat the vote that you want us back to have a conversation about the art and science of giving and receiving and sharing our gifts.
Each of you, I'm going to give the floor.
It's two things. It's, you hit on a word that has been a passion of mine from the beginning, and that's brainstorming. So it has such a bad rap. And just a little shameless self-plug, my article in the next She is AI is all about brainstorming in a very different way. And it ties in a little bit, kind of dust on what Carolina just talked about. So that's kind of fun that's how that came together. The second thing is just a heartfelt thank you. Like, what I wish every client I had was this open-minded, was this willing to receive, because that is not always the case. So thank you so much for engaging with us on the project, because it was an absolute joy. And I really do feel like it was the start of this whole transformation of what is happening now. So thank you for that.
Thrilled that we could do our part to be part of that whole ripple and that creativity spark and all of those things. Thank you for acknowledging us as we are acknowledging you. So Carolina, what's next for you, or what is on your heart that you would still love to share with us?
I want to say that not just this experience and also being with all of you, but the biggest gift that we can give ourselves is to really be who we are, to really embrace our voice, to have the courage to do that. And when we do that, we not only light ourselves up, right? But when we do that, everyone around us is inspired and gets that infectious light as well. And so it's a gift for both you and for everyone else around you. Because when you don't do that, you're not gift giving. And we all want to be gift giving.
Well, ladies, thank you so much. There was something said in the middle of this, and I can't wait to go back and listen to it and really let it sink in. But there was something said about the culture and the energy and the feeling. And I'll tell you what, that I only want to hang around people like you, where we are here really not only embodying, but also allowing that light to shine out. The energy in this room is palpable. Like you can feel the love, and it's not conditional. It's there and it's shared openly and willingly. And so thank you for being such a gift to the world.
Yeah.
But I have chill bumps.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you for sharing your heart and sharing your light. And
Thank you
with
for having
that, we just sign off with so much love and gratitude. Thank you.
We've loved connecting with you today. And as always, we sign off with love and light, trusting that each listener knows in their heart they were created for greatness. We can easily see that greatness in you, and we would love to be part of your journey to your highest path of creating and living the life that you love. We'd love to have you join our community of heart-led world changers, visionaries, and thought leaders. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can find us on all socials as The Synergy Sisters.
Hey everyone, it's Debbie Prediger, and I am here to say thank you. Thank you for watching or listening, depending on which platform you're on, to our season 2 of the Synergy Sisters Collective Light podcast. And my call to action to you is, do you want to be part of a community that is all about light, all about showing up in this world and collaborating and linking arms? If this sounds like you, and if you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, we want to hear from you. This is Mary Gervais and Debbie Prediger, the Synergy Sisters, that are inviting you into this global collective, and we welcome you.